Alright everybody, welcome back for another video of Virtual Warfare text-based roleplay fighting tutorial series. And today's video, we're going to be reviewing another rule set. That's right, another rule set. I've been reviewing rule sets for quite some time now. And the reason why I'm laughing because it's like that's all I'm doing right now. But I am in the process of making another lesson video and doing a podcast and stuff like that. But right now, I'm just chilling, making reviews. It's fun. I'm actually hoping to hear people's input on it and just have fun. I'm trying to go back to the old ways I used to make videos, just to put the content out there. But nowadays, I just been running my mouth and doing a little extra stuff because maybe I'm getting more comfortable and it's not as, it's not as severe as pushing the content out for people to hear. I just want to have fun. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Alright, so this rule set, as you can see, is the Dirty Ruleset. Now, whatever that means, when I hear the Dirty Ruleset, I'm thinking about like it's gonna be like dirty fighting, like throwing dirt in people's eyes or whatever. Like I guess I'm thinking like the rule sets is gonna be like gonna have underhanded methods, of doing this. But we'll see. So I know I touched on the intro a little bit in one of my other videos because I thought it was the same rule set and, I thought it was connected, but it's a totally different rule set. Now, so just begin. It says, the info says, I had to edit some things, so this has been reposted. Okay. Comments here. Feel free to provide feedback if necessary. Rude and spiteful comments will be ignored or even omitted. Okay, warning. These guidelines are not meant to be perfect or godly. The wording comes from another unique mindset, and if people cannot understand that, then please do not bother commenting. Okay, so let's see. So the Dirty Ruleset, presented by Model Praxis. Okay, welcome message. Okay, greetings. Let me try my voice. Greetings and thank you for taking the time to analyze this counsel before your eyes. It can be pointed. I'm sorry. If it can be pointed out that this creation comes entirely from another unique mindset, and if you are as the reader can take the time to understand, reflect on what exactly being provided, it will be appreciated. Hello again. Hello once again. Hello once again. And welcome to the Dirty Ruleset. Due to the freshness of this information available, it is understood that all things commonly argued in roleplay combat will be covered, and that this rule set, like most of others, may provide some loophole features. But all of that is trying to be avoided as accurately as possible. There are many different views. On how role-playing and combat are conducted, which brings a unique entirety to role-play in general. Most happens to revolve around character development, which entails quite a bit about the flow of how role-play should be enacted and how it shouldn't. First and foremost, let us go over the most direct fact of typing length does not affect skill at all. The more a person can type and make their post look good is great, but for those who find themselves in a position of not being able to type lengthy posts should not fear a combat or interaction engagement against any. The reason this is being brought up is to simply reflect on the significance of information and how it is guided into one of these scenarios. Reading is very important. Yes, it can be difficult. It can be default determined that reading should be conducted, but this step should be taken further into any scenario which allows participants to a better feeling of reading through characters before a fight without being shadowed by metagaming. This is completely hypothetical, though it can be said that not too many folks read through creations for this understanding scenario, which entails a lot of occurrences to be conducted through interaction in scenarios that aren't exactly presented in the character. Now, there is a fine line between omniscient metagaming and understand of what I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm just all right. So far, I'm sorry. So for the reading, it says the reading, so I'm gonna continue with the reading. No. He's saying reading as in reading is very important. Okay. So reading is very important, yes. And I do agree that, people equate word length with skill. Now, if you guys watch my videos and know how virtual warfare does it, you know that there's a few different types of data. There's battle data, there's filler data, filler data. I made the same mistake. I made the same mistake in my other video. There's battle data, filler data, unnecessary data, and cheating data. So I can give a brief overview. Battle data is, things that pertains to battle, arm, hand, jumping, running. Anything that you're going to use throughout the fight over and over is battle data. Anything that describes physicality. Filler data is breaking down the battle data to just have a lengthier sorry for the music. Maybe I pause it real quick. Matter of fact, in second thought, this song is I like the beat. It's kind of cool. Anyway, filler data is breaking down battle data. For example, say the battle data is, I run towards you and sheath my sword, right? The filler data would be breaking down the steps, like, I reach my hand over and I spread my fingers and grab my sword, and upon grabbing it, I tighten my grip and pull it. So you're adding extra detail just to make the pose lengthier. Unnecessary data would be like, yes, it brings out the role play, but it's just unnecessary to say, well, I felt the cold grip of the hilt, and when I pull it out and make a shing noise, and then I draw, and all that extra stuff is like, you don't have to add that. It just brings out the role play. And cheating data would be, I grab my sword, makes me remind of my childhood memories, and when I thought about it, I get extra strength out of nowhere, and I slash my opponent with that's cheating. All right, that's cheating data. You're trying to use data or trying to use lore or instances of lore to try to enhance the character. So those are the different types of data. So yeah, I do agree about people equate word length to skill, and it's not true. Now, there's a fine line between omniscient metagaming and understanding of what can be fully conducted for a creation. Example, if you read about someone's creation that they had absolute zero energy usage and they just use energy to destroy an entire arena, that's obviously a problem. Not unless there is a viable information provided to how this is conducted, whether it be a weapon of ruin or any other assortment. Sure, I guess, pretty much speaks for itself. With reading comes the benefactor of questioning, and no one should ever be afraid to ask questions about how exactly something was done or proceeding. If someone managed to do a broad assortment of capabilities without an efficient mannerism of guidance, then pick apart. Okay. There's not really much else to be said aside from the fact that people can purposely ask questions to figure out weaknesses and etc., which is an aspect of metagaming. So do not worry about explaining what exactly your abilities entail, and just proceed with a casual gesture. Metagaming can easily be pointed out, which is true. I do agree. I think people are afraid to ask questions because they equate asking questions with being dumb. And if anybody know anything about learning, that's completely the opposite. Like, asking questions actually show that, look, you're paying attention, you want to learn more, you want to have a concrete understanding of what's being taught or what's being said. So no one knows everything. And I like the saying, it says, the more you know, the more you don't know. So, and it's another phrase, I think it's called the something Kruger effect, the Donald Kruger or the Doppler Kruger, something like that. And it goes like this: like, those who don't have intelligence put themselves to make it seem like they do have intelligence, while the people who are actually smart, kind of like underestimate themselves and their capability of, exhibiting their intelligence. So in essence, people who are dumb claim to be smart, while people who are smart actually claim to be dumb. So the more you know, the more you don't know. And people who know a lot know that they don't know enough, or they don't know everything, you know. So yes, you know, ask questions. If you don't know what's going on, ask questions. Don't make you look stupid. It just makes you look like you want to learn. You want to make sure you're following everything correctly, you know. But those who don't ask questions are prideful, to sadly to say, and then just, you know, I guess don't want to ask questions for whatever reason. But ask questions is pretty good, so I definitely do agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I need to stop talking a lot. So, all right. First, let me see what's going on with this. Okay, so it's a lot to be. I hate rules. So that's okay. So, pretty much as you can see, like just like this, unrealistic melee, realistic melee sustaining. So, most of the stuff that if we already covered it, or it just seems like a general concept, we're gonna skip over it because there's no point of me trying to, you know, there's no point. You know, so let me see. Yeah, so like stacking stuff like that. So like I don't know. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just okay, enacting rules of engagement. Okay, though there are many, many, and many more rule sets to enact what and what cannot be done within a battle, it is best believed that the proportions of explaining what exactly can be conducted are categorized through distinct functions which are already set. For those of you viewers who are new, there is moderately powered characters, realistic melee, unrealistic melee. These are the primary functions to be chosen from when entering a combat engagement, and to further outline a proper definition. And to further outline, I don't know. Okay, to further outline, proper definition will be provided for each outline. Likewise, a detailed summary of things that are completely viable or just forbidden. Period. We are all founded on the aspects of no god modern, metagaming, and etc. Right? Of course, and I think the other one would be autoing, which metagaming is a form. Whatever. All right, whatever. We know, we know that. Prepping. Okay. Um, right. So everything. I mean, yeah. So pretty much it's just, you know, I guess he's talking about, you know, the things to look forward to: melee, realistic melee, unrealistic melee, whatever. Prepper. Okay. All combat scenarios require prepping of some form of kind. I'm sorry. Now, prepping is discussed to be a system which allows abilities to be enacted fully and the like. But with the Dirty Ruleset, a different form of prepping may be enacted. Okay, this is interesting. Interesting. For starters, there should not be a limitation on prep whatsoever, and that may sound like the worst idea in history, but people fail to realize that within the bounds of both human, similar species, and even deity, superior species, creations, there are things that affect energy more than just energy. Okay. What? There are more things that affect energy. Wait, there are things that affect energy more than just energy. Yeah, I guess. I guess. I mean, like, I guess. I guess what you mean. Okay. I guess what you mean by, like, I don't know. Like, you can make complete. You can make a lot of scenarios or explanation of what that means, but that's just. Let me not jump the gun and just read. Stamina. Okay. Stamina, which a lot of people tend to forget, should automatically apply to any species, especially in MP. Why? Because most, if not all, energy in that from the body, and as the energy process is being drained, it should also take its toll upon the body as well, especially for humans or the similar foundations of them. Normally, the larger an ability cast, the larger amount of stamina is withdrawn and further enacts cooldown, which ensures a regain of a portion of that stamina, which we call the catch and breathe stage. Okay, now all you guys know. You know what's interesting? Hold on. You know what's interesting? I just realized that with all these different rule sets and stuff like that, it's like no one, either that no one cares, no one understands, or no one bothers to try to implement any type of documentation, exertion. Like no one notices, no one cares, and no one bothers. Or no one cares, no one it's pretty much the same thing. But maybe people care about it but don't really bother to implement them. Cause he's talking about stamina, but like, how would you gauge stamina? Like, it will always have an ambiguous scaling because there is no system to regulate what's going to make you fatigue, or like what's going to make you like what's going to drain stamina significantly, and what's going to just like drain it, casually. There's no systems, and like, I haven't seen any. As you guys seen with the rule set that I read, they don't mention them. So how is this going to come about in roleplay fighting if no one really cares to actually formulate a system, or at least some type of system where it at least casually regulates stamina? And I mean, the only system that I can understand or know is the laws of exertion, which virtual warfare implements. There's light, medium, full exertion. If you exert all your energy, of course you're gonna get tired over time. But even in that, again, it's like a simple explanation. Like jabs or hooks. I mean, jabs or hooks. I mean, jabs are light exertion, hooks are medium exertion, and haymakers are full exertion. So with a jab, and it's a light exertion. I mean, you get tired by throwing jabs over time, but it's a jab, so you're not gonna get tired, that easily. With hooks, yes, you would get tired with hooks, but like, you can still manage to throw hooks and still have energy to do other things. But with a haymaker, throwing haymakers left and right, that would drain stamina. But also, the drawback, it comes from the inertia of, you throwing haymaker, you gotta. It takes time to recover from that. So the more exertion you output, the more exertion you commence, the longer it would take to recover from. Like this, the example is pretty easy: jab, hook, haymaker. With a jab, you can recover from a jab pretty easily. That's what jabs are for. With a hook, you can recover, but not as easy from a jab. But with a haymaker, like, it's hard to recover from haymakers. You're exerting all your power, and you got to regain yourself just to throw another one. So, I don't know why people aren't catching on with this concept, and I've been talking about it for years, and it's been out for decades, about 1 decade, as you've seen in my other videos from 2001. No, I'm lying. I'm lying. 2011. But I started it long ago, probably 2009, but I didn't really write any systems until 2011. Here we are in 2022, and like, people haven't still caught on and actually applied it, but still trying to implement ideas about stamina and drawbacks. But there's no system to actually regulate those things. It's just like guesswork. Like, it seems like you're exerted too much, so I'm going to call it out. And it's like, yes, you can do that, but it's like, we should have a foundation or system. Say, hey, look, you did this. You exerted your energy, fully exerted your energy 3 times. Therefore, you have to be subjected to losing stamina. If not, that's like you're God moding. So at least we have a system. Now, I'm talking too much, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. I mean, there's no system to regulate stamina. So it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too fast. Maybe the system is here. Let's find out. So normally, when an ability is cast, it stands for a preceding duration before being dissolved completely or hypothetically transform into another aspect, and virtually sets a limit to about 1 or 2 abilities casted with the fear of using a large amount of stamina. How can 1 or 2 abilities really stop anyone from not fearing stamina? The reason is because of passives. Everyone has passives of some kind in the powered combat scenarios, and maintaining them whatsoever requires a consistent amount of energy expressed, and further strains the body when those passives are thoroughly explored by an enemy combatant, or even when abilities are casted from the person, because depending on the number of passives initiated from a vessel and abilities expressed control with the influence from the body or equipment, there is still that large amount of stamina blown through regardless. I mean, yes, he has a point. I mean, people use passives like they just pass. Like everything's passive. Just I'm passive, and it's a passive ability, and it happens automatically. And guess what? Yeah, it doesn't drain anything. It doesn't drain none of my stamina because it's a passive ability. It just happens, which is not true. Even when I use passive abilities, I use passive abilities through subconscious. I don't just say like you guys know virtual warfare. Like I don't just say things. Everything has a source and everything has to be initiated. So that source of a passive is subconscious, So like you can have things in the back of your mind. You can have like, I gotta remember. Like it's like driving. Cause for a while I was driving with bad brakes, right? Driving with bad brakes, and cause I accidentally leaked my my brake fluid, So when I pushed the brake, the brake pedal went all the way down to the floor, so it made it harder to brake. So in the back of my mind, I had to realize, look, I gotta drive slow. I gotta make sure I know in the back of my mind my brakes are messed up, so I'm not gonna drive as fast as I normally would, because I gotta brake. My brakes are bad, So in the back of my mind, in the back of my subconscious, I know my brakes are bad. Therefore, I have to consciously do certain things. So because I'm consciously doing certain things, it's causing my subconscious to know, look, the reason why you're doing these things is because your brakes are bad. So even through that, is I'm using part of my brain to passively to not passively drive, but to passively put these methods into place to keep me safe from crashing. So same with the passive abilities, there has to be a source where this passive abilities is being, it's coming from, it's being exhibited from or whatever, and so with that, it has to be, you have to use a part of your brain or part of something that's drawing energy from that, but it's also drawing that attention or being initiated from that. So with all that being said, it's like, even with that, it's good that this guy mentioned that passive ability is still taking a toll on the person, because you still have to regain that passiveness or that ability that's drawing energy from a source, which is you. Whether it's from the brain, whether it's from the soul, whether it's from your own, body, whatever. It's still drawing energy, so it just can't be completely passive where it just like it follows no rules of physics. It has to drain energy because it has to take energy from somewhere. So I'm going on a tangent, but yes, I completely agree with this. He says my species does not use stamina because they're undead, ghosted, or whatever other means people use to play around. There is a large difference between a vessel and an energetic vessel. This does not imply that an undead being or etc. has a soul or the sort, but being assertions or assertion, I don't know what you're trying to say. The fact that now everyone has an energetic body upon this rule set, or simply details the fact that those bodies carry a limited amount of energy restored or even gained. These energetic vessels may be described as proportional influences to the ether or what have you. But that still does not bypass the law of stamina. It takes stamina to use energy in the light. Stacking. So I think that is. Let me see stack. Let me read stack because I actually do stack. I don't know what he means by stacking, but this stacking will be taught in the pataphysical lesson, which these like esoteric information, and I really don't want to share this with everybody because like if everyone knows about it, it's like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be beatable, but it would just make people harder to defeat, you know, because like it's a long story. But yes, I will be sharing certain things in the pataphysical. Again, this is anyway. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent again. I do that a lot. I'm sorry, I do that a lot. Anyway, what's time? Okay, so I'll try to go like an hour. Got 30 minutes. Stacking. Second is term of actual usage of an energetic. Okay, stacking. In terms of an actual usage in an energetic combat scenario is allowing attributes or abilities to take on buffs, effect which allows for potencies to sustain higher attributed detriments. Okay. I don't think detriments is okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna nitpick the literature here. I'm just gonna read and understand. So forgive me if I start to do that. Cause anyway, for example, augmentations may allow attributes to take twice the potencies, which could make a 25-foot attack actually be able to assume a 50-foot distance. Though stacking may also attribute. Let's see, attribute. It's not attribute. It's attribute, but it's also in his way. It's attribute. To attribute anywhere between this 25 to 50 range. There's a tendency to use 2 times the potencies as a default. Those who can truly moderate themselves can actually just use 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 limiters, which adds minor buffs to potencies and doesn't automatically overpower in the battle. So you know stuff like this. Like, listen, I ain't the smartest person in the world, but I'm also ain't the dumbest. I'm not the dumbest, but like when I read stuff like this, it's like for some reason like I gotta read it over again. You know, like things should be broken down in layman's terms. You know, always like if it's something like this so convoluted, it's not convoluted, but like you won't get it when you first read. You gotta actually dissect it what it means. So what I do when I write stuff, I explain the way how I explain it, and I say in other words, and I give it a simple explanation. So you could take that simple explanation and connect it to what the complexity of what was just said and mend those two together. So even though some things were complex to understand you when you first read, the things that you did take in, you would apply it to the in other words, and then you would have a simplified answer then to bring everything together. Because if you just say everything in a try to because a lot of things are complex to understand, but if you just read it or explain it in that complexity, and it's like, yo, like, what I'm gonna do? Like, I mean, it's hard for me to understand because like it's written in a complex format, and it's like it's just better to say in other words and explain it in more layman's terms rather than just leaving it at that. So this is a word of advice to the guy who wrote this rule set, or whatever. Because I don't even know what those who can truly moderate themselves can actually just use 1, 5. What does that even mean? Times limiters. I guess I get it. Like limiters. Okay, limiter, which adds minor buffs to potencies and doesn't automatically overpower in battle. A 700-foot attack can be utilized within 2 times the limiter, and its attributes to 1400, which is a little much. But stacking would add interest to a prep depending on limiters used to a certain abilities. Okay. What is all this being? What is this? Like now I'm not confused on what things that's being said, but it's like where's this leading to? Like I don't get it. I don't get where this leading to. I don't get where it's leading to. Like why? Like he gave an example, but that example was like, say my species does not use stamina because they're undead, ghosted, or whatever. Okay, so it's like I get it. You want to use stamina. You want to implement stamina. I don't know what's being said. I'm lost. Let me try. Okay, let me just give me a second. Give me about 2 minutes. So all common scenarios require prepping. Okay, now prepping is discussed to a system. This is that. Okay. There should be Limitation prep on whatsoever. Okay. So yes, there shouldn't be limitations on preps, but like maybe I gotta read the whole rule set. But it's like there shouldn't be limitations on preps, but what does that look like? What does that mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, we know what you mean, but like, what does that look like? How do you put that in perspective? You know, let's get an example. You know, some people use preps like this example, but the dirty rule set is talking about this. Give an example and then explain what that means instead of saying, you know, there's no prepping. For the dirty rule set, there's no prepping. There's no limitation in prepping, but like don't expound on what that actually mean. You know, just whatever. Stamina. Say stamina, which a lot of people tend to forget. Which is again, I agree. You know, but what's the method of actually systemizing stamina? I mean, what's the system in that? Like, what is the method? You know, there's the method is not being explained. It's not being used. You know, when we talk about casting, and abilities, right? You know, yes, passive ability takes up stamina. All right. Well, give an example how we can actually regulate that without God moding or without power play. You know, give an example because I mean, you can say a lot of stuff. Say, oh, people need to do this, people need to do that, but it's like if you don't show people how to do it, it's like we're still in the dark. We're still lost in the dark. Yes, we know we don't need to do these things, but all right, show us how it's done. You know, and it's like saying, yo, you got to swim across this lake, or yo, you got. It's like telling the kid, yo, you got to cross the street, but you don't show them how to cross. You just jump in the middle of the street. Like you got to show them how to look both ways, make sure no cars are coming. You know, in order to safely cross the street. But if you just say, yo, you got to cross the street, and you know, make sure you cross the street safely. It's like, how is that? How is that? How do I do that? You know, so you're telling people to you know be mindful of stamina, but you're not showing them how. You know, and it's just not it's just incomplete teaching. So we know stacking. Like, so what? How? So for example, uh, um, what is this? How is this being attributed to anything? You know, I don't know how to put this in perspective. You know, give an example or a certain example. Like, oh, when someone does a Kamehameha blast, you know, they can say ×2, and then are you just? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. 1.5 additional stamina. Oh, so here's the method right here. Okay, so here's the method. But additional stamina. So I guess if you're using 2 times, you're using 6. If it's 1.5 times, you're using 8.3 additional stamina. Okay, so he correlated stamina and stacking together, which is better, which is what I would say, which is better than just leaving it blank. But it just brings the question like, well, I am doing a rules review, so like it brings the question on for how long, you know. So you got all right, stacking having this attribute and timesing it by 2 cause you to use this amount stamina. Okay, so what if I just do it for 1 second? Do I still like lose the stamina, or if how is this? It has to be a consistent perspective rather than just letting people just go on a, you know, using their own imagination to just figure out what the hell is going on. You know, it's just better to have it laying out so people can actually understand. You know, so I mean, yeah, I mean, again, I agree with this guy what he's doing about stamina and prepping, but like, it's not consistent, and it's not what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you can't put it in perspective. You know, it's not easily, it's not vivid, it's not easily understood, it's not lucid, it's not easily understood. But anyway, I'm moving on because it looks like he's talking about powered characters, or moderate powered. So we already know what this is. I don't need to read. There comes a process where people believe that their creations hold a determination of power, and therefore are powerful within their own means. There are also those who pursue a vision to see what exactly their new creations are capable of producing. Now, okay, I'm reading it. Okay, every bounce. Okay, so it's pretty much. I'm curious on why he put moderate power right here, and I really don't want to read it. I'm just scan. Easy. Okay. In this version of MP, will allow any person to come together in the form of equality and on even bounds with one another. Even bounds does not entail that the characters are truly equal, and therefore one cannot beat the other. But this does reflect that there is a beneficial quality between the two, and one truly holds no power over the other. To further reflect this, there is the wisdom of energies and functions. Dark cancels light, or even light cancels dark, which is a common philosophy, but most tend to surpass the fact that these things are equally bound for one another, even if they cancel, which leads to the topic of willpower. Okay, I mean, I agree. You know what I mean? I have the same concept. You know, I believe light overtakes dark all the way. The darkness does not like the light, and the darkness hide from the light, but this is RP. And you can't have your own beliefs and your own philosophies takes precedence over what the system requires. So, yes, I mean, it all depends on willpower. I completely agree. Now, willpower should have a notion of exertion, but we will see what he's going to say. There are those who can enact the functions of bypassing illusions, psychic capabilities, and the like, which automatically cancels these functions for the caster if they were to attempt anything such as mind peering or etc., which is looking into someone's mind. With willpower and stamina comes perfect capabilities of enacting these attributes at any time and making any battle juicier than what it entails. Reflecting further that if anyone slacks off or BSs, they will be defeated or harmed categorically. Willpower stamina further reflects upon the uses of chaos and pure effects of energies, how they may dissipate or even take over other abilities, attributes, but this simply calls for an extra utilization of energies in order to successfully proceed with these methods of an equal met factor of sustaining, etc., to bear against these effects. This calls, you know why I get kind of like get caught up because like one the sentence structure is just it's not the best sentence structure. I don't have the best sentence structure, or should I say my sentence structures aren't perfect. But for word of advice, I was just talking to somebody earlier yesterday about this. Like when you write, it should flow off the tongue effortlessly. Like yes, you can read it, but like you should write in a way where it flows off the tongue. It's your normal speech, or it's a general idea of how people talk on a daily basis. You know, like don't try to add all these extra words because they sound cool, or add all these extra explanations because you want to seem smart. No, just simplify. Talk regular. Talk regular. You know, talk like you talking to a friend. Use the words that you would use when you talk to a friend. Like don't use all these different types of words because it's role play, or use all these different types of words because you want to seem like you know what you're talking about. Like no, just talk regular. Like talk simply. Cause like people, in essence, people don't care. Well, I don't care. People. So I would speak for myself, and hopefully other people too. Like I don't care if you use all these grand slam words. Like just talk regular. Talk regular. As long as it's easily understood in the first go around, guess what, yo? Like people gonna use the rules because it's easily understood. But if you gotta like, pick apart, decipher what this means, like what did guess what the context of this phrase is being used in, then it's like people it's gonna be convoluted. People are not gonna like really gravitate to this rooster because it's hard to understand. It may not be hard to understand, but it's hard to read because it don't fluidly flow off the tongue. It's not something you use in everyday speeches. But to each their own. I don't use these words on a daily basis. I mean, I may use them, but like I don't use the sentence structure the way the sentences are structured. And it's like it's almost run on sentences, stuff like that. Like the punctuations aren't in the right spot where it flows off the tongue. So it's like while I'm reading, because I'm used to reading out loud, when it's a comma there, I'm reading in a tone to wait for the other comma, But if the comma is not there, it's like the tone, it causes me to miss what's being read because I'm expecting for the tone to change, or I'm expecting to the subject to change, or for another subject to come around, but there's nothing there. It's a period, or it's nothing there. So it's hard for me to read effectively out loud because the punctuations aren't as it's just not in the right spot. So yeah, this is not to bash anybody because again, I don't have the best punctuation either, but at the same time, when I write things, I read it out loud to see if it flows off the tongue and make sure people can actually read out loud and it flows off the tongue. So, but to each their own, So I'm just gonna continue. The world power and stamina further reflects upon the uses of chaos and pure effects of energies. Period. There should be a period there, or semicolon how they may dissipate or even take over other abilities, attributes. But like right here, it should be a comma or something. It shouldn't be a but there because but shows that I'm not trying to teach grammar, but shows that it's a transitional word where it's like this and this and this, but this and this and that. So but is a transitional word, and so it separate subjects between one thing and another. And because we already talked about willpower and stamina reflected upon chaos in this, and how they dissipate this and that, it shouldn't be a but there. It should be something else. This means, well, but what this means, or how, therefore, but Sam, it's I'm not the best. I don't have the best grammar either, but I know but don't make it doesn't belong there, But anyway, but this simply calls for an extra utilization for energy in order to successfully proceed with these methods, and an equal met factor of sustaining, etc., to barrier against these effects. This calls for the virtue of essentially clearing the playing field of a one-shot post or battle entirely favored toward one party. This also falls upon the attributes of healing, requiring that an excessive is not. Forgive me, man. I'm not trying to bash this dude on writing, but it's just that I can't help but to point these things out while I'm trying to read effectively, and it's just not working. How much time I got left? All right, I spent about 20 more minutes on this, and I'll call it a day. Okay, where was I? This also falls upon the attributes of healing, requiring that an excessive amount of stamina is used when healing medium to large scale wounds, but even minor wounds tend to exhaust quite a bit of stamina regardless. Most minor wounds come in the form of a great many spread across specific contracted features of the vessel impacted. With pure moderation comes the pure usage of stamina. Let me try to figure out okay, willpower and stamina further reflects upon the use of chaos and pure effects of energies. What is that? What does that mean? What do you mean by chaos and pure effects of energy? Is this correlating with the light and dark theme? Like, light don't overpower dark, and because of a role play, you have the opposite. The dark don't overcome light because it's like, it's an equal thing because it's role play. So is this chaos and pure talking about that? It's like how they may dissipate or even take over other attributes. This simply causes an extra utilization of energy in order to successfully proceed in the methods of equally met factors of sustain and barriers. Man, this thing is, I'm confused. I'm confused. Like, I am confused. Like, cause I'm always asking what that mean. What does that mean? Cause like certain things in here, again, this is for the guy who wrote this, and also for anyone. If you have to be aware of your audience. You have to be aware of people being too dumb. Right now, I'm just too dumb to understand. So if I'm too dumb to understand, you have to explain. you have to be aware of, all right, what I'm saying right now might be a little confusing. So let me dumb it down a little bit, or give an example of what I mean. Like, if you don't have that awareness, you won't. It will be harder for you to reach an audience, or to effectively reach other audiences besides the one who only knows exactly what you're saying. Like, it's like saying, like, say I watch Dragon Ball Z, right? Yeah, I love Dragon Ball Z, and if I always just use Dragon Ball Z terms, like, yeah, Goku did the Kamehameha and his Chi energy, and then he did it, and it's like, all right, what is Kamehameha? What is Chi energy? What is charge and all that? What is these? What do you mean by these things? So instead of just just leaving it at that, I'd be like, well, Goku used Kamehameha, and the Kamehameha is he used with Chi energy, and Chi energy is the substance, blah 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 blah. So I would expound on what these things mean, rather than say, oh, Chi energy, Kamehameha, end, period. People who don't know Dragon Ball Z won't know what Chi energy is, or Kamehameha is, or even what Goku is. A saying, a person who can manipulate Chi energy. And if you don't expound on these things, you'll lose your audience. You'll lose. You will confuse them. So whatever chaos and pure effects of energy, what does that even mean? Like, chaos energies, chaos effects, pure effects. What does that mean? Like, is it light or dark? Like, I don't know what you're trying to correlate with those two. So I'm confused. But moving on. Yeah, well, I mean, with pure, okay, I'm right here with pure moderation. With pure moderation comes the usage of stamina. With pure moderation comes the pure usage of stamina. What is that even pure? What do you mean by pure usage of stamina? Meaning, like, complete, like, pure stamina, like just all stamina, or pure stamina, like pure holy stamina? Like, I don't know what's being said. There should be no possible way, unless armored uniquely, that a moderate powered creation surpasses even 600 miles per hour without natural laws of science affecting those vessels. Well, I can agree. I agree with that. It can be understood that some species hold a high quality of speed and stamina, which is fine, but do not confuse those traits with nigh infinite resources. Constants of high speed. That's what it's calling me. Constants of high speed being conducted are impossible to reach, again, because of stamina exhaust. So actually, see, it's capital, so it's the phrase stamina exhaust. See, if you're gonna use a phrase like that, which you probably did mention earlier, that I just missed, but if you're gonna capitalize phrases, meaning they're actual phrase, it's a compound. I forgot what they're called. So it's not a compound word. It's a phrase, compound phrase. I don't know what it's called. But if you're gonna use those things like that, you want to expound on, say, stamina cost, or other words, or parentheses, something, or what that means, or stamina exhaust. Stamina exhaust is blah 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 blah, and then go to the next sentence. So mention something that's a phrase that we don't know what it is. Explain the phrase in the next sentence, and then continue how stamina exhaust is correlating with the next subject you're talking about. But you just say stamina exhaust, and it's like, okay, like I can have an idea what that means, but I don't know exactly what it means because it's not being explained. So yeah, it's always good to explain phrases like that, especially if you're emphasizing on those phrases. Okay, these spreads, okay. Concepts of high speeds being conducted are impossible to reach, again, because of stamina exhaust. These speeds reached should not even last longer than perhaps even a single term of expressions. And the same can be applied toward the guidelines of energies. Even 150 miles pushes the limit of humanoid functions. So logically explanation would be, I disagree. I disagree with that. I don't know what this guy, like. I don't know what the idea of superhuman, like, what part of superhuman is he not understanding? Because I know for me, like, if the Ruleset is, say, the cap speed of Ruleset is Mach 1, right? That means, in order to get to that speed, I have to exert all my energy. Right? It's like me in real life running full speed, even though I'm not as fast as Bolt. Usain Bolt. If I gotta run at my max speed, I gotta use all my power, right? I exert all my energy. But if I'm just like jogging or chilling, jogging 5 miles per hour, I could jog. We could jog for hours, just chill jogging. But that's 5 miles per hour. But I can't. I can nowhere run Mach 1 speed. However, if the Mach 1 speed is Mach 1, it's about roughly 750, 720 miles per hour, depending on air pressure, whatever. All this extra stuff is not important. If the max speed is Mach 1 and my character is capable of running that speed, that means jogging speed will be around like 100 miles per hour. So I'll be able to successfully jog at 100 miles per hour and not break a sweat. Because my character is allowed to reach that potential anyway, even Mach 1. So if I'm reaching Mach 1, let me explain this again. So for me to reach Mach 1, I had to fully exert my body. So that means anything lesser, like for example, like jogging. Like if I'm a superhuman being and I'm jogging, I can reach 100 miles per hour easily. So I don't agree with this at all. I don't agree with this at all. I get what he's trying to say, but I don't agree with it. Because humanoid, yes, humanoid, but we're superhuman. Like it's superhuman. Like there's different functions. Like you said, humanoid functions, but these functions are attributed to supernatural powers and supernatural physiologies. So I can run because my body allows me to run that speed easily. I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Anyway, what about lightning and light aura attributes? Simply put, there is nothing that can be done but limit the fact that these sources are natural, nerfed to moderation of speeds, and any higher will result in PC regard, leading to disqualification or perhaps. I do want to get to these. Let me just briefly go over these things because it's probably kinetic influence. Simply put, anything with kinetic interaction will require an equal amount of stamina to affect anything. 1 to 100 halted movement equals 1 to 100 stamina using. 1 to 100 movements gain will result in 100. I think you get the point. Kinetic influence in general is just a loophole people use for easy wins. Okay, yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't know. I don't like his methods of. I get it. I get it. Because I use percentages when I used to use percentages when it came to like using like charging up whatever. I would say, blah 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 blah. I would just say I exhibited 20% of my exertion, 20% of my exertion. So it's just like, all right, so I'm not using my full exertion, but I'm using 20% of my body to exert, or 20% of my energy to exert this. So yeah, I get percentage, but I think this guy is on to something. A lot of people they don't care because it's just role play to them. And my foot falling asleep. Ah man, it hurts. What the heck is going on? Oh jeez, dang, my foot falling asleep. I'm sorry about that. Dang. Anyway, I get it, but people don't exercise this type of method of stamina. Which I mean, I commend this guy for putting it out there and trying to encourage people to use stamina. But like, people think limiting themselves equals weakness, and people don't like to limit themselves because it not weakness, but like it retracts creativity. People, if you limit yourself, you are less creative. Like it's like the more you input, the more creative output you get. If that makes any sense, So the more you do, the more creative you seem. And it's like limiting yourself equals not being creative. This is not true. It's not true. So yes, I agree with the stamina stuff. I hope people do good with stamina and stuff like that. But yeah. So it looks like the stamina stuff is it goes a long way. So intangibles may be used to bypass physical objects, but since there is necessarily some who just use this to try to win battles, intangibles would not be placed on a randomized factor or actually being able to affect what they are pursuing. 35 to 100% chance. Fair to say for those who primarily use them, and the equal chance for the opposite to actually have some form of defense against them. I mean, I waste everything on time. Time is my stamina. Time and energy is my stamina, and I mean that's pretty much Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared. Forgive me for butchering this. I haven't thought about it in a long time. You know, E equals energy. Energy in motion. Energy in motion. I forgot. Oh my goodness. I forgot. Anyway, time and energy represents dang. Now I feel stupid now. Dang, I totally forgot. Oh man. I don't know. All I know is I use time and energy to regulate everything I do in roleplay fighting. Everything. Everything. I don't fight without time and energy. For example, you guys already know virtual warfare. I would say, using, a light exertion, I focus on this. This focus takes about 2 seconds to do. 2 minutes, 2 seconds after that, I use hand signs at this speed, or it takes this long to do these hand signs. And afterwards, I start to charge my energy, and this energy takes about blah, 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 blah. So I use time as a reference for my stamina, or I use exertion as a reference for my stamina. So combining those two together, I use a reference for my stamina. I try to fight fairly, and I haven't really role played that I'm tired, like, I'm using all my energy. But I do keep in mind that, look, I just used a grand slam attack. I can't keep doing that because it's not gonna be fair. Also, my fights don't even last that long for me to be tired, because either the guy messed up, they bailed on me, we end up out of character, going back and forth arguing, and that's it. I never really fight past the time to even use stamina, because it's like fights don't even last that long for me. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the stamina thing. Now I can't make a second. Ah man, it's a lot of talking. 3 minutes. I mean, laws of perception, laws of acceptance. Like, what is this stuff? Hold on. Within the confines of action, there are acts that proceed or even as other events proceed. Preparation is key, yes, but if requirements are sought and met with logical elaboration, then no complaints can be made on how or why things were procured to begin with. Avoiding every single action committed seems to be a relative tendency and shall be halted. Why? Why? The law of perception. Typically, only a being with a powerful nature may be able to mask itself for being a weaker status. That being said, if masking skill traits are enveloped within another vessel, then the same alignments will befall the same host, allowing for equal bounds to be met in host invitation for a. Okay, I'm not saying that. Okay, sense you cannot sense me attributes. Okay, also slowing. Why not? Like, I don't agree with that. Like, I mean, I want to say it's an attribute. You would have to use physics to mask yourself from being sensed. Now, you guys seen uh my last lesson I did, which is plane walking, creating an illusion. There's ways to mask your presence without just saying, "Oh, I use a passive ability. Now you can't see me." But you have to be explained logically through some means of physics that allows you to be unsensed, or allows you to not be sensed. So yeah. Also, slowing perceptions are now banned. It is more logical that something with a small enough body can obtain sensory perception that appears to slow someone down, compared to most of everyone having to slow down feature. Yeah, I mean, slow down feature is, I won't say it's time manipulation, but you can, again, man, I don't agree with that, because like, you can use if you're able to control someone's body, through blood manipulation, telekinesis, or anything, right? You're able to control how they perceive stuff, or you'll be able to slow down molecules. Which I haven't studied it, so I wouldn't know, but I know theoretically, or hypothetically, should I say, you'll be able to slow down the molecules of that person to where everything just their reaction time is just not they they can't process things fast enough because everything is slowed down. So everything would be slow motion for them. For them, perceptually, but not in the real world. Not actuality, just based on perception. So there's certain you can do anything in role play fighting, and this is what virtual warfare is for. To teach people how to do anything, but through logic, through physics, and through systematic methods. You can virtually do everything. It's called virtual warfare for a reason. You can virtually do anything, and I'm teaching everybody that through my virtual videos. The next video I'm going to create is creating a sentience. And so instead of summoning, to say, oh, I summon this person, or I summon this character, or I summon this creature, now you'll be able to logically summon creatures and have them stronger than those who just summon creatures because I have a spell. I have a summon spell, so I summon a wolf. I summon 5 wolves to attack you. But now you'll be able to, step by step, create a sentience, and through that, through those steps, create an actual being to where it becomes just as strong as you are, and run with that. So you can virtually do anything, virtual warfare. But I think that I'm just gonna end the video there because it's a lot of stuff. Power character laws of introduction posts. No matter how long should be concepted or guided to function to the fullest extent. Therefore, acknowledging that skill sets and traits cannot be immediately activated, it is understood that in most or even all cases that a second poster has the right to begin or acknowledge powers which are variable, though it is best that passives and the likes are avoided upon the first introductory post to find common ground. I mean, so pretty much it's like, I get it. It's just the heading. The heading is weird. Like, the heading is just like, it sounds so, oh, whoa, the law of introduction. Then you read it, it's like, oh, I get it. Okay, it's just, you can't prep on the first post. Like, I'm sure, like, it should just be like, you can't prep on the first post. This is why, they like Virtual Warfare did. If you guys read Virtual Warfare, matter of fact, I already did it, I was gonna say I would do a review on Virtual Warfare, but I already did it. But you would see that, it's I don't know. I'm just explaining myself. I don't. Man, this is draining. Like, just looking at stuff and just having to explain away. Maybe I'll do a part 2 on this. Let me know, guys, if you guys want to hear part 2 or whatever. Because I'm done with this rule set. I'll do a part 2 if only you guys want me to do a part 2. If not, then I ain't doing it. So that's it, man. That's it. I mean, I'm not doing enough. So that was the Dirty Ruleset. I mean, it was alright rule set. I mean, it was alright. It's a lot of stuff to read. It's a lot of stuff that's like a no-brainer that make it seem like it's like oh, here we go. Look, I gotta read this. Now, it may have already been questioned since the beginning. How exactly can we track stamina, endurance, etc.? Though it has been thought about very hard, the most beneficial system for now is the 1 to 100 ratios, which have been introduced when using extreme powers, and the same can be applied to basic movements ability. Okay, I get it. 1 to stamina engaged when movements are enacted. Stamina is conducted for 1-3 minor abilities. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so yes, he did actually explain these things. Using a potentially too large scale ability. He still got a lot of work to be done. Maybe I just glossed over it, but like you have to have a consistent. You can't have no gaps. So when I say you can't have no gaps, meaning he talks about okay, that are definitely capable of destroying large amounts of space. Give a actual measurement. Don't say large amounts of space, because large amounts of space is relative. You know, give an actual radius or actual size. It was like destroying 2 buildings at once, or you know what I'm saying, or obliterating buildings in a single second. Like give an illustration on what that means. Don't just say, destroying large amounts of space. Because it seemed like, yes, you want this. The thing is, you emphasize on this. I'm talking to the person now. You emphasize on stamina, but like it's not really. It's like the amount of effort to actually be consistent on having this without no loopholes, without having an actual systematic structure of this is not all there. It's like you have an idea, you pretty much made a baseline, and that was it. You didn't really expound on how does it look like in battle, give different scenarios, how to effectively keep track of this. If you start to deviate from this, the percentage of stamina, to how to realign those ideas to be consistent. Like none of this is there. It's just like you give a way to track it, but like that way of tracking is still missing stuff. So I encourage you to just look deeper into this. I really commend stamina endurance. I do agree that people do not pay attention or care about adding stamina, and also people don't really have the like the not the ability, but the opportunity to use stamina and endurance, because like fights end with arguments. Like people make 2 or 3 posts or whatever, and that's it. They start to argue, So it's like, yes, I do agree with this. People need to start doing it, but sometimes it's just not applicable. It's not there. So yeah, I mean, anyway, Ruse's okay. I'll give it a 50 out of 50, only because I think about these different stuff like this, like laws of introduction, when it's just basically telling you, like, it makes it more confusing than what it has to be. Like, it don't need to be this confusing. Like, it could be easy. Like, this should have been stated. The system about stamina endurance should have been stated when you talked about stamina endurance. Like, why wait to the very end to give an explanation on how to scale it? Should have been there already. So I give it a 50 out of 50 because it's confusing. It's not articulated well enough to actually be easily understood, and it's just all over the place. So yeah, that's my verdict on that. Besides that, I guess it's a Dirty Ruleset, so I guess it's supposed to be like that, right? I don't know, but yeah, that's about it. Shout out to the dude who wrote it. It's okay. It's confusing, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you guys want me to do part 2, let me know. I will. I cover the things that I didn't cover, but besides that, take care, everybody, and I see everybody in the next video. Deuces.